Medicine has come a long way. We've conquered plagues, developed corona vaccines, and even mapped the human genome. But sometimes doctors come across diseases so bizarre, so terrifying, that even the most experienced professionals are left speechless. From mysterious conditions that make people smell like fish to illnesses that turn muscle into bone, these diseases aren't just rare. They're outright mind-boggling. Some are new and spreading, while others have haunted humanity for centuries with no cure in sight. In this video, we're diving into 15 of the strangest, most terrifying diseases that have left doctors shocked, confused, and sometimes even scared to get too close. And trust us, we're not going to talk about corona at all. Let's start off this list with number 15, fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva. Let's just imagine your body slowly turning to stone, where every muscle, joint, and ligament transforms into solid bone, trapping you inside your own body. That's the horrifying reality of fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva, also known as Stone Man syndrome. This ultra-rare disease, affecting only about 800 people worldwide, is caused by a genetic mutation that triggers muscles and connective tissues to ossify, turn into bone, over time. Patients with FOP are born with deformed big toes, a subtle but telltale sign of the disease. As they age, any injury, injection, or even a mild bruise can trigger explosive bone growth, permanently locking joints in place. It is untreatable, and surgeries only make it worse, because when doctors try to remove the extra bone, the body responds by growing even more. Eventually, patients become completely immobilized, making FOP one of the most terrifying genetic conditions on Earth. Number 14. Alien hand syndrome. What if your own hand started acting against your will, grabbing objects, hitting people, or even trying to choke you, all while you helplessly watched? Well, that's the nightmare reality of alien hand syndrome, or in short, AHS. This condition, usually caused by brain injuries, strokes, or surgery, disconnects a person's sense of control over one of their hands. The affected hand moves on its own, sometimes performing complex purposeful actions, like buttoning a shirt, grabbing a drink, or tearing up papers without the person realizing it. Patients often feel like their limb is being controlled by an external force, and some even talk to their rogue hand to try and calm it down. There is no cure, but therapy can help retrain the brain. AHS is extremely rare, but when it happens, it's one of the most disturbing neurological disorders ever recorded. Number 13, exploding head syndrome. You're just about to fall asleep when suddenly, bang! A deafening explosion inside your head jerks you awake. But here's the thing, nothing actually happened. This is exploding head syndrome, a terrifying sleep disorder where people hear loud crashes, gunshots, or explosions as they drift off. Some even report seeing flashes of light or feeling an electric shock through their body. Doctors aren't sure what causes it, but some theories suggest it's due to a misfire in the brainstem or a delay in shutting down neural activity. It's more common in people who are stressed or sleep-deprived, but it can happen to anyone. Although it's not dangerous, it feels so real that people often mistake it for a stroke or seizure. And the worst part? It can happen multiple times a night, leaving people terrified to fall asleep. No wonder doctors were baffled when they first discovered it. Number 12, aquagenic urticaria. Water is vital for life, but for people with aquagenic urticaria, even a single drop can cause excruciating pain. This super rare condition makes the skin break out in painful, burning hives upon contact with water, whether it's from a shower, sweat, or even tears. It's so rare that fewer than 100 cases have been documented worldwide. Scientists believe it might be caused by a hypersensitive reaction to water or an unknown chemical in sweat. But here's the terrifying part. Since the human body is mostly water, managing this condition is nearly impossible. There is no kind of treatment, and in fact, what's even more brain-chilling, even taking antihistamines only offers limited relief. Some people develop extreme anxiety, fearing everyday activities like bathing or walking in the rain. Imagine being allergic to something you can't live without. That's why this disease is one of the most baffling medical conditions ever recorded. It's just too scary. Number 11. Fatal familial insomnia. What if you could never sleep again and slowly went insane because of it? That's exactly what happens with fatal familial insomnia, a creepy genetic disorder that destroys the brain's ability to sleep. FFI starts with mild insomnia, but within months, it turns into a complete inability to sleep at all. As sleep deprivation worsens, patients experience hallucinations, paranoia, dementia, and eventually total organ failure. The bad part? There is no remedy, and the disease is always fatal. Death usually occurs within 6 to 18 months of onset. Even worse, it's inherited, meaning it runs in families, often showing up unexpectedly later in life. Scientists have traced FFI to a mutation in the PRNP gene, which causes toxic proteins to build up in the brain. But despite knowing the cause, doctors have no way to stop it. It's one of the rarest and deadliest sleep disorders in existence, proving that sometimes sleep isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity for survival. Number 10. Morgellons disease. Imagine feeling tiny fibers crawling under your skin, causing unbearable itching, open sores, and a sensation like bugs are burrowing inside you. This is the terrifying reality of Morgellons disease, a condition so bizarre that even doctors don't agree on whether it's real. People suffering from Morgellons describe pulling thread-like fibers from their skin, along with constant pain, fatigue, and even neurological issues like brain fog and memory loss. But when researchers have tried to study these fibers, they can't explain where they come from. Some say they resemble textile fibers, while others believe they might be biological in origin. Many doctors dismiss Morgellons as a psychiatric condition, calling it delusional parasitosis, meaning patients are imagining the symptoms. But thousands of sufferers insist it's a real disease that medicine just hasn't understood yet. Is Morgellons a new, unidentified illness or a psychological condition gone extreme? Until science figures it out, those who suffer from it are left searching for answers. Number 9. Autobrewery syndrome. What if you could get drunk without drinking a single drop of alcohol? That's exactly what happens to people with autobrewery syndrome, a condition where the gut starts fermenting carbohydrates into alcohol, leading to unexpected intoxication. Patients report feeling drunk out of nowhere, sometimes even blowing high blood alcohol levels on breathalyzer tests, despite not having touched alcohol at all. The culprit? An overgrowth of yeast in the gut, usually candida, which turns sugars into ethanol, the same type of alcohol found in liquor. In one extreme case, a man in Texas was arrested for DUI, only to later prove he had never consumed a single drink. His body had simply brewed alcohol from his last meal. While ABS can be treated with antifungals and a low-carb diet, it's still not fully understood. Some cases disappear mysteriously, while others persist for years. For people with autobrewery syndrome, eating a slice of bread can feel like doing shots of tequila. Number 8. Walking corpse syndrome. Imagine waking up one day and feeling certain that you are dead. Your organs have stopped working, your body is rotting, and you no longer exist in the real world. This is the horrifying experience of Cotard's delusion, also known as walking corpse syndrome. This rare mental disorder causes people to believe they are literally deceased, that their flesh is rotting, or that they have lost their soul. Some patients even stop eating and drinking, believing their bodies no longer require sustenance. Cotard's syndrome is usually linked to severe depression, schizophrenia, or brain injury, and it's one of the most extreme forms of psychosis ever recorded. In some cases, patients have been found wandering through cemeteries, convinced they belong there. With proper treatment, some people recover, but others remain trapped in a state of living death, unable to connect with reality. It's one of the most haunting psychological conditions known to science, and even today, doctors struggle to explain what causes it. Number 7. Foreign accent syndrome. Imagine going to bed speaking your normal native language and waking up with a completely different accent, or even an entirely new language. Sounds impossible? Welcome to Foreign Accent Syndrome, FAS, a bizarre neurological condition that rewires the brain's speech patterns after a stroke, head injury, or migraine. People with FAS have suddenly developed French, British, Chinese, or even Jamaican accents, despite having never spoken them before. Some extreme cases have even reported people losing their native language entirely and speaking fluently in a language they've never learned. Doctors believe this happens due to tiny brain injuries in the areas that control speech and language processing. But why certain accents emerge remains a total mystery. FAS is incredibly rare, with only about 100 confirmed cases worldwide. Some patients recover, but others live with their new accent for life. It's as if their brains hit the reset button on language, and no one knows why. Number 6. Tree Man Syndrome. If you've ever thought superhero origin stories were pure fiction, Tree Man Syndrome might make you reconsider. This horrifying condition, known as epidermodysplasia verruciformis, causes the skin to grow thick, bark-like warts and tumors that can completely cover the body. Caused by a rare genetic mutation that weakens the immune system, Tree Man Syndrome makes people highly susceptible to HPV human papillomavirus. Unlike in healthy individuals where HPV causes common warts, in Tree Man Syndrome patients, it spreads uncontrollably, turning hands and feet into gnarled, wood-like formations. There is no permanent cure, and surgery can temporarily remove the growths, but they always grow back. Some extreme cases have left patients unable to move their hands and feet, effectively trapping them in their own skin. It's one of the most visually shocking diseases in the world, and despite medical advances, scientists still haven't figured out how to stop it completely. We'll always love you, Koswara. Number 5. Alice in Wonderland Syndrome. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing your hands shrink to the size of a peanut, or feeling like your body is stretching like rubber. This is Alice in Wonderland Syndrome, AIWS, a rare neurological condition that distorts perception of size, distance, and time, just like in Lewis Carroll's famous novel. Patients with AIWS experience hallucinations where objects seem enormous one second and microscopic the next. Some feel like they're floating, while others say time moves in fast forward or slow motion. This bizarre syndrome is usually linked to migraines, epilepsy, or viral infections like Epstein-Barr. Doctors believe it happens when the brain temporarily malfunctions in processing visual and spatial information. The strangest part? AIWS isn't always scary. Some people find the distortions fascinating or even fun. But for others, it's a terrifying experience that makes them question reality itself. Although the episodes pass, there is no known cure, making AIWS one of the most puzzling conditions ever recorded. Number 4. Hutchinson-Gilford progeria syndrome. What if you were born with a body that aged 8 times faster than normal? That's the heartbreaking reality for children with Hutchinson-Gilford progeria syndrome, HGPS, a rare genetic disorder that causes rapid aging in childhood. By the time they're 2 years old, kids with progeria start showing signs of aging: hair loss, joint stiffness, and wrinkled skin. By the time they reach their teens, they have heart disease, brittle bones, and other conditions typical of an 80-year-old. The disease is caused by a genetic mutation that affects how cells reproduce, leading to a rapid breakdown of tissues. The most tragic part? There is no cure, and most children with progeria don't live past their early 20s. Despite the grim prognosis, Many kids with progeria remain remarkably optimistic, inspiring researchers to keep searching for a treatment. Progeria might be rare, but studying it could unlock secrets about the aging process and possibly even slow down aging for everyone. Number 3. Fish odor syndrome. We all sweat, and sometimes we stink. But for people with trimethylaminuria, TMAU, better known as fish odor syndrome, the smell never goes away. This rare metabolic disorder prevents the body from breaking down trimethylamine, a chemical that smells like rotting fish, garbage, or eggs. Instead of getting eliminated through urine, sweat, or breath, the odor seeps out of their pores, making normal social interactions a nightmare. No matter how much they shower, use deodorant, or change their diet, the smell lingers. Some people have mild cases, while others emit a constant, overpowering odor. Doctors have found that certain diets, like avoiding fish, eggs, and dairy, can help reduce the smell, but there is no permanent cure. Many sufferers struggle with anxiety, depression, and isolation because of the condition, making it as much a psychological burden as a physical one. For now, science still hasn't figured out how to fix it, but researchers continue searching for a cure. Number 2. Laughing death. Laughter is supposed to be healthy, but what if it could kill you? That's exactly what happened to the victims of Kuru, a rare and fatal brain disease found in Papua New Guinea's Fore tribe. In the mid-20th century, researchers discovered a bizarre epidemic of uncontrollable laughing fits that quickly escalated into tremors, muscle weakness, and death. Victims would lose control of their emotions, laughing hysterically before their body completely shut down. The cause? Kuru was spread through ritualistic cannibalism. The Fore people had a tradition of eating the brains of deceased relatives, unknowingly spreading a prion disease similar to mad cow disease. Once infected, there was no cure. Kuru had a 100% fatality rate, with victims dying within 1 year of showing symptoms. Although the practice of cannibalism has stopped, Kuru remains one of the strangest and most horrifying diseases in medical history. Number 1. The Dancing Plague. In 1518, a woman in Strasbourg, now France, began dancing uncontrollably in the streets. Within days, hundreds joined her, moving non-stop for weeks. Some collapsed from exhaustion, others suffered strokes or heart attacks, and many danced to their deaths. This wasn't an isolated incident. Similar dancing plagues were reported across Europe in the Middle Ages. But here's the mystery. Nobody knows what caused them. Some theories suggest it was mass hysteria, triggered by stress or religious superstition. Others believe it was due to ergot poisoning, a toxic mold that grows on rye, which can cause hallucinations and convulsions, and is also linked to the Salem witch trials. But why did only certain towns experience this phenomenon? Why did people dance for days without stopping? The dancing plague remains one of the strangest unexplained medical events in history. A mass outbreak of mindless, uncontrollable movement that has never been fully understood. If you have enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in with us, and we'll see you soon in the next one.